Today we're doing a no-sew dress. It is very exciting because this dress is very easy to make. All my no-sew projects are easy to make.
Oh, hey, I didn't see you there.
Hello, welcome back to my channel. My name is Silent. If you're new here, please hit the subscribe button so you're notified whenever I post a new video. If you haven't seen how I made this no-sew top I'm putting on, please click the link right here. Today we're doing a no-sew dress. It is very exciting because this dress is very easy to make. All my no-sew projects are easy to make. For this no-sew dress, all you need is your fabric, chalk, measuring tape, and your scissors. I'm using the scuba fabric. This fabric is a solid fabric, meaning that there's no clear distinction between the right side and the wrong side. And also, it's a self-finished fabric, meaning that it does not fray. So, see that? It doesn't fray at all. If you want to see how I make this dress, please keep on watching.
I'm using 2.5 yards of fabric for this project. The first thing I'm doing is folding the fabric. I simply took the top left edge and I brought it down to the bottom of the fabric. I just made sure everything is nice and smooth. Now what I'm going to do is show you a paper illustration. That way you can follow the entire process. So this is what I did with the fabric. I'm simply repeating it with the paper. I folded the paper. And now I'm going to cut off the excess paper that is not included in the fold. That gives me a right angle triangle. And now I'm folding that right angle triangle and making it an equilateral triangle. After that, I'm folding it again to give me another right angle triangle. I'm folding it again. I promise this is the last fold. Folding it again, and I'm just cutting a curve at the bottom. It doesn't have to be perfect, just a nice round curve. Trying to make your cutting as neat as possible. After cutting it, I'm simply unfolding the paper to give me half of a semicircle, and now I'm cutting the neck and the armholes. I'm going to give you detailed measurements on how to cut the neck and the armholes, but just know that when I unfold it to form a semicircle, this is what I have, and when I unfold it again to form a circle, this is what I have. 3 holes in the middle. Now what I just did with the paper, I'm repeating it with my fabric so you can follow. I simply cut off the excess fabric that is not included in the fold, just like I did with the paper. Now the excess fabric, you could use it for something else. I'm going to use mine for another no-sew project, so definitely stay tuned to see what I use that excess fabric to make. It's about 1 yard of fabric that's left. I'm just putting that aside. Now I'm folding the right angle triangle and making it an equilateral triangle. I'm folding the fabric again to form a right angle triangle. And now the last fold, like I did with the paper, folding it yet again. And now I'm just going to cut that curve I showed you with the paper. Now my fabric is very, very thick, so I had to cut mine in layers because I was using a very small scissors, so I couldn't afford to cut all of them at once. So I cut them in layers. If your fabric is not as thick as mine, or you're using a bigger scissors, you could actually cut all of them at once. You don't have to cut them in layers. I had to also use my water bottle to hold the fabric because it was really moving around when I was struggling to cut through all the layers. I had to even unfold the fabric simply because I wanted to complete the curve, the cutting of the curve. That's the only reason why I unfolded the fabric. So if you cut yours at once, you don't have to unfold your fabric and cut anymore. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to unfold the fabric to get a half of a semicircle, like what I did with the paper. And now at that top point, I'm simply marking my neck measurement. I'm using 2.5. I'm just marking that 2.5 around to get a curve. I'm just going to cut along that curve, and that will give me my neck measurement. If you want your neck to be wider, you could increase it from 2.5 to maybe 3 or 3.5, but I wanted mine to be 2.5. I didn't want it to be very wide. So from that neck measurement, I'm just marking 2.5 inches, which is where my shoulder is going to lie. And then from that 2.5 mark, I'm marking 5.5 inches, which is the length of my armhole. My arm circumference is 12 inches. That's why I used 5.5. I'm also, from the width of my armhole, I'm using 1.5 inches. Now remember that my fabric is still folded, so when I open it up, it's actually 3 inches width. This fabric is stretchy, so I can afford to do that. And my arm circumference is 12 inches. You could make your width and length of the armhole more than this if your arm circumference is more than 12 inches. So basically, try to work with your own measurements. But if your arm circumference is 12 inches and you're using the fabric like mine, you could definitely use the same measurements that I used. So when I've done that, this is what I have. Now I'm just going to unfold the fabric just so you can see what we have at the end of the day, and also we can go through the measurements again, because I really want you guys to get this project right. Now this is what I have. The hole in the center is for the neck, while the holes by the side are for the armholes. The length of my armhole is 5.5 inches, while the width of my armhole is 3 inches. Remember, I marked 1.5 inches, but my fabric was folded. Now both the depth and the width of my neck is 5 inches.